Hi, folks. In this module, we're talking about trial closeout.
This is the part of the trial where everyone thinks, great, the last participant is done. We can finally breathe.
And then someone opens the closeout checklist.
Exactly. The trial may be over for participants, but for the study team, there's still work to do. Data need to be cleaned. Sites need clear instructions. Safety reporting needs to be wrapped up. Records need to be stored. Payments need to be reconciled. And in pragmatic trials, there's one more big question.
What happens to the real-world practice we changed for the trial?
Right. Pragmatic trials often touch routine care. They might change a workflow, introduce a tool, shift responsibilities, alter scheduling, or create a new process at a site. So when the trial ends, we can't just say, "Thanks everyone, good luck."
That would be like hosting a dinner party, rearranging someone's kitchen, then leaving without telling them where the forks went.
Painfully accurate.
Let's start with the big idea. Trial closeout isn't just paperwork. It's the final quality check on the whole study.
Exactly. A well-run closeout protects the credibility of the trial. It helps ensure the data are complete, the safety information is accounted for, and the study records can stand up to future review.
It also protects relationships. Sites remember how a study ends.
They really do. A site might work through startup delays, recruitment challenges, or protocol changes if the team is responsive. But if closeout feels rushed, unclear, or dismissive, that can damage trust.
And trust matters in pragmatic trials because these studies happen inside real care settings. You're not working in a sealed research lab. You're working in health systems, clinics, hospitals, pharmacies, community organizations, and sometimes entire regions.
Which means closeout has two jobs. One is formal, finish the trial properly. The other is practical and relational, help everyone move into what comes next.
And that's where sites often ask, what do we do on Monday morning?
Exactly. If a trial changed practice at the site, the team needs to explain what happens next. Do sites return to previous workflows? Do they keep the intervention going temporarily? Do they pause until results are analyzed? Who makes that decision? Who pays for it? Who trains staff if the process changes again?
So closeout isn't only the end of data collection. It's a managed transition.
Yes, and that transition needs planning.
There's a myth that trials have clean endings. Last participant, final visit, database lock, manuscript, done.
If only.
In reality, endings can be messy.
They can be. One site may still have data queries. Another may have safety follow-up. A finance office may be waiting on a final invoice. A patient may be asking whether they'll receive study results. A coordinator may still be tracking down final documents.
And none of those issues are unusual.
Not at all. They're signs that the trial was connected to real people, real sites, and real systems. That's the strength of pragmatic trials, but it's also why closeout needs structure.
So what makes a closeout plan useful?
It helps teams avoid last-minute scrambling. It gives everyone a shared understanding of what needs to be completed, who owns each task, and what still needs follow-up before the study can be considered closed.
Let's talk about de-implementation. The word can sound a bit cold.
It does. It sounds like something a robot would say while removing your coffee machine.
De-implementation initiated.
Exactly. But the idea is simple. De-implementation means intentionally stopping, rolling back, or replacing a practice that shouldn't continue in its current form.
In a trial, that might mean ending a trial workflow once the study period is complete.
Yes, and the key word is intentionally. The goal isn't to yank away a process and leave everyone confused. The goal is to guide the transition.
So after a pragmatic trial, de-implementation could mean helping a site return to its old way of working.
or helping it move to a modified version of the intervention, or helping it pause until results are available. The right approach depends on the trial, the intervention, the risks, the resources, and the site context.
That sounds like more than a research decision.
It often is. It may involve clinical leaders, operations managers, patient partners, indigenous collaborators, funders, sponsors, and institutional decision makers. In pragmatic trials, the intervention may live inside care delivery, so decisions about stopping or continuing it can't be made in isolation.
One tricky period is the gap between trial completion and final results.
That's one of the hardest parts. The trial is over, but the answer isn't ready yet. Sites may ask, should we keep doing this? And the study team may not yet know whether the intervention worked.
So what should teams do during that interim period?
Provide clear, cautious guidance. Don't overstate results. Don't imply effectiveness before analysis. Explain what is known, what isn't known yet, and what sites should do operationally until results are available.
Let's imagine a site that changed its workflow for a trial. Maybe they added a new screening step, changed how staff document care, or introduced a new care pathway. Now the trial is ending. What does responsible support look like?
First, the site needs a simple explanation of what changes after the trial ends, not a 40-page document that no one will read. A clear summary.
The what stops, what stays, who to call version.
Exactly. Something like stop trial-only data entry on this date, continue usual clinical documentation, return or archive these materials, contact this person for questions, and use this interim guidance until final results are shared.
That sounds basic, but it can prevent a lot of confusion.
It can. Staff turnover makes this even more important. The people closing out the trial may not be the same people who launched it. A manager may be new, a coordinator may be covering from another project, a clinical champion may have moved on.
The only one person knows how this works problem.
Yes, and that problem becomes painfully visible during closeout. If knowledge lives in one person's head, the transition becomes fragile.
So closeout materials should be written for the person who wasn't there at the beginning.
Exactly. Right for the person walking into the trial, halfway through, or at the end, who needs to understand what to do next.
What about sites that want to keep the intervention going?
That can happen, especially if staff like the workflow or believe it improved care. But the study team needs to be careful. If the results aren't analyzed yet, the team shouldn't encourage broad adoption as if effectiveness is proven.
But they can still support safe local decision-making?
Yes, they can clarify that continued use is a local operational decision, not a trial requirement. They can also outline what trial support will and won't continue, and remind sites that final recommendations may change once results are available.
How about patients and communities? What do participants need when a trial ends?
They need clarity and respect. They should understand that the trial has ended, whether they'll be contacted again, when results might be shared, and what happens to any trial-related care or materials they received.
And this should be in plain language.
Yes, plain language, accessible formats, and culturally appropriate communication. For some trials, especially those involving communities or indigenous partners, reporting back isn't just a courtesy. It's part of maintaining respectful relationships.
People gave their time, their data, sometimes their trust.
Exactly. A trial shouldn't disappear from their lives without explanation. Even a short, "What happens next" summary can help. It can say, "Your study participation is complete. Your usual care continues with your healthcare team. The study team is analyzing results. We expect to share a plain language summary when available. Here's who to contact with questions."
What if results won't be available for a long time?
Then say that. People can handle waiting better than uncertainty. The issue isn't always delay. The issue is silence.
Silence can feel like being forgotten.
It can, and in research, that matters. We ask a lot from participants and sites. Closing the loop is part of doing the work responsibly.
We said this episode wouldn't walk through the checklist one by one, but we can't ignore the hidden machinery of closeout.
Definitely. A lot of important closeout work happens quietly. Data teams resolve queries. Safety teams reconcile adverse events. Coordinators check documents. Finance teams chase invoices. Regulatory teams prepare final reports.
The glamorous life of clinical trials.
Truly. But this work matters. A trial can have a brilliant research question and strong recruitment, but if the data are messy at the end, the final answer becomes harder to trust.
And safety reporting needs to be complete before final closure.
Yes, you don't want to submit a final ethics closure report while safety follow-up is still unresolved, unless there's a clear plan and that's allowed. The sequence matters. First, confirm what happened, then report it, then close the file.
That sounds simple, but it takes coordination.
It does. Finance is similar. Closing accounts too early can create headaches if invoices are still pending. Waiting too long can create institutional problems. Someone needs to know what has been paid, what is still owed, and what happens to unspent funds.
And records need to be stored so future reviewers can understand what happened.
Exactly. Archiving isn't just putting files in a folder called Final.
That folder has ruined many lives.
Good archiving means records are complete, organized, accessible to authorized people, and retained for the required period. Years later, someone should be able to reconstruct how the trial was conducted.
So closeout is about preserving the story of the trial.
Yes, in a way that others can verify.
There's another piece that often gets skipped, the closeout debrief.
Yes, the end of a trial is the best time to capture what actually happened, not what the protocol imagined would happen, what really happened.
What questions should teams ask?
What worked well? What slowed us down? What confused sites? Which tools were useful? Which forms were painful? Did our budget match reality? Did we underestimate training needs? Did we communicate often enough? Did patients understand what was happening?
And those answers should be documented.
Yes. Otherwise, the lessons disappear when staff move on. The next trial repeats the same mistakes, and everyone acts surprised. The debrief doesn't need to be complicated. It can be a structured meeting, a short report, or a shared lessons learned document. The key is to capture practical knowledge while it's still fresh.
And include site perspectives.
Absolutely. Sites often know where the trial created burden. They can tell you what was realistic, what was awkward, what patients asked, and what they would change next time.
That feedback is gold.
It is. It can improve future protocols, budgets, training plans, data tools, and closeout processes.
So, big picture. Trial closeout is not just an administrative ending.
It's a transition point. For the data, the documents, the sites, the staff, the participants, and sometimes the care system itself.
And de-implementation is part of that transition when the trial changed real-world practice.
Yes, the question isn't only, did we finish the trial? It's also, did we help people move safely and clearly into what comes next?
That might mean returning to usual care, pausing an intervention, continuing a workflow locally, or preparing for future adoption once results are available.
And whatever the path is, it should be planned, documented, and communicated.
There's something very human about closeout. It's spreadsheets and signatures, yes, but it's also gratitude, clarity, and respect.
Exactly. Thank the sites, inform the participants, support the staff, preserve the records, finish the data, capture the lessons.
And don't leave the forks in a mystery drawer.
We'll end on that high note. Thanks for listening. Hit the like and subscribe buttons, and visit the Pragmatic Trials Training Program website for more resources. One of those resources is a study closeout checklist that teams can use to help plan, track, and document key closeout activities.